My trip of 16 days traveling up the river began at the city of Belém, at the mouth of the Amazon, and ended at the village of Benjamin Constant, at the border of Peru. As one stands at the port of the city of Belém and looks across the Amazon River, one can see land, but what is seen is the island of Marajó, not the other side of the river. The Amazon is the widest river in the world. At its mouth, the river is a broad estuary about 200 miles wide. This is the amazing Amazon seen from the air. At its mouth, a number of islands have formed, Marajó being the largest. As we arrived in Praia, we were greeted by numerous vendors wishing to sell their wares to us and to the boat passengers and personnel. This commerce was very important to the local merchants as well as to the boats making stops at Praia. There were several people on our boat who were traveling from Belém and other parts of Brazil whose destination was Praia. There are several other people who wish to travel from Praia to other destinations further up the Amazon, boarded our boat to seek their destinations. Along the Amazon during the rainy seasons, one witnessed the vast flooding that occurs every year. The Amazon flood stages are 4 times as large as that of the Congo River in Africa, and 10 times the amount of the vast Mississippi-Missouri complex river system in North America. As our boat continued west on this mighty river, in the distance we saw a discoloration of the water. From the right side of the river, we spotted the black water of the Negro River mixing with the mud-colored water of the Amazon system. As we approached the current of the Negro River flowing into the Amazon River, one of the passengers on our boat exclaimed, "Look at all of the Coca-Cola." To reach our destination, the city of Manaus, the captain steered our boat into the black waters of the Negro River. The boat headed upstream 11 miles to the city. After traveling 10 days up the Amazon, we arrived at Manaus, the capital of the state of Amazonas, which is located approximately 800 miles from the Atlantic Ocean and is in the center of the Amazon rainforest system. Probably the most memorable building in Manaus was the Teatro Amazonas, an ornate opera house, built in 1896 and renovated in the late 1980s. This building was constructed mainly due to the vast natural rubber industry provided by the rubber trees that grew prolifically in the region. In the 1970s, at the time of this expedition, there were multiple signs that Manaus was prospering, especially with the construction of high-rising commercial buildings. As we left Manaus and returned to the Amazon Solimões River system, again we saw the results of the mass floodings of the river during the rainy season, which can cause fluctuations of water levels. The flooding happens because of the tidal wave, which is called the Pororoca. The Pororoca tides cause over 12 feet high waves and travel many miles inland. As we continued upstream, we arrived at the village of Cotajas. We were able to leave the boat for a while and visit the plaza of the village. Again, we continued moving upstream, where again we saw massive flooding and vegetation growing on the river. At this point, we also saw the vast jungle and the huge forests of the Amazon region. As we traveled deeper and deeper into the rainforest, we saw fewer and fewer villages along the shoreline, and the torrential rains on the river caused our boat to seek reprieve near the shore until the gales passed. At the village of Huari, we saw the building materials that the village had obtained and stockpiled for future construction. We were also given a marvelous demonstration of the practical uses that the Amazon provided in the lives of the local people. A child took a cool drink from the river's tasty water. His friends, one after another, then gave us a remarkable demonstration of their pure pleasure of diving into the river. A mother used the river as a laundering room for washing her clothes. A father, after his day at work, came to the river shore to do his daily workout. He then took his daily bath in the waters of the river, followed by a refreshing dip in the community's swimming pool. This leg of our journey on the Solimões River demonstrated to us the pure vastness of the Amazon rainforest, the richest biodiversity in the world, which covers an area of 2,100,000 square miles. Vendors supply the boat with fish and other necessities. At night, the only natural light is that of the moon, whose clarity presents itself as stark as this in few places on earth. To the villages along the Amazon Solimões rivers, all kinds of equipment are brought to them by river transports, even cars where there are few roads. These colorful macaws, probably caught in the Amazon basin, brightens up their surroundings and our day. Every year, new discoveries of species of fish are identified to add to the more than 3,000 species already known. Wildlife include the Amazon manatee, the boto, the tucuchi, which are species of dolphins, piranhas, electric eels, giant otter, black caiman, capybaras, and countless others. As we travel up the river, we encounter all kinds of river transportation: a Volkswagen, a minivan, a Ford, Chevrolet, and a hitchhiker. At times, the rain on the river came down in such heavy torrents that forced our boat to seek the safety of the shoreline. And usually, afterwards, we were rewarded with a beautiful Amazon rainbow. Freshly butchered beef was brought aboard our boat for the last leg of our journey. This was our cook and dining room, which was on the second deck of the boat. On the bottom deck was where we hung our hammocks to sleep at night. As each year passes, there are greater and more threatening incursions on its pristineness. If these incursions continue unabated into the future, in a generation or two, it will be impossible for another wide-eyed adventurer like myself to venture into the Amazon Solimões River system and be awestruck by its vastness and pure beauty like I was on this journey. We hung our hammocks and watched our last sunset over this amazing river. I ponder about the events and adventures that I have been so fortunate to experience, from the city of Recife on Brazil's Atlantic coast to Brazil's outpost on the Peruvian border, the village of Benjamin Constant. From there, I took a boat across the river to Leticia, Colombia, where I boarded an airplane to Bogota in Central America on my way back home to Michigan.